everybody. Welcome to the Everybody Loves Languages webinar. We have Rachel Gassner here with us as today's guest speaker. So today we're going to talk about the activities and strategies you can use in your classroom as a language teacher to further engage your students, either it's in person or in online classroom settings. Before we get started, I just want to give everyone a really warm welcome to join our webinar. I know everybody is busy. Let me introduce today's guest speaker, Rachel Gassner. So I don't think you guys can see Rachel yet, but I'll pull her feed up in a bit. Just a brief introduction about Rachel. Rachel is a Spanish teacher at Whitefield School in St. Louis, Missouri. She has been teaching Spanish for more than 12 years across the St. Louis area, and she currently serves as department chair of her school and is the conference chair of the Foreign Language Association of Missouri. Rachel has various experience in teaching children at all ages, but she particularly loves teaching young learners between the age of 12 and 15. Rachel is very passionate about teaching language in context and making language learning a fun experience for students. So throughout her career, she has developed a series of strategies and tools to engage and motivate these young learners, which is what we're going to talk about today. And she also, very dedicated to help them feel confident and capable of communicating in a second language. I guess is the goal of teaching any language. So without further ado, let me introduce Rachel. Here we go. That's Rachel.
Hi, everybody. Hi, friends. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to present to other passionate educators. This presentation is called Give Me a Break. In the US, we have this candy called Kit Kat, and they always say, give me a break, give me a break. And so we work really hard in language courses, and language learners need constant input. So to do that, that's a lot of work on the teacher. So occasionally we need a break from going. And so hopefully some of these activities will make the students work harder than you do. Really, they should be doing the grunt work of the language. We're just the facilitators. She already told you a little bit about me. I'm a passionate Spanish teacher. I live in St. Louis, Missouri. I am going to start with some virtual activities because I'm under the impression that many of you are still teaching virtually due to COVID. But I do have several in-person activities I can show today as well. The first virtual activity, the platform is called Poll Everywhere, and I really love it. You can use it for so many different activities, different levels, novice to advanced, all kinds of different writing prompts. They can select different things. It does celebrate creativity. We do a lot of writing prompts. I'll ask them a question and they'll write up their answer, and they can be silly. They can be fun with it, but they also don't have to worry about making mistakes because it's anonymous. So I'll show you an example in a minute. Frequently students will make errors, but instead of coming down on them, you blew it. I'll show gently how we can correct their grammar, and other students can help point it out. It's many platforms in one. Some people use Kahoot as a game, or Padlet for writing, or Google Forms for surveys. This is a platform that does everything. And my warning about this, it did take me a little bit of time to learn just to get comfortable with the platform. The free version, actually that's changed. It's gone up to 40 responses now, but I think there's more than 30 or 40 people here today. Is that right, Lee? How many people are in attendance?
Yes, we're about 40 people now.
Oh, great. So most people will be able to participate. Wonderful. But of course, there's a paid version if you want to splurge for that. So first, I'd like to show you some examples my students have used in the past. So these are the saved examples, and I'll give you an example from when we were learning to describe personalities. And I'm a Spanish teacher. I think many of you are from Spanish-speaking countries. So students typed 5 words that describe their personality. And so they're practicing with the vocabulary, but here's where it extends. You can give a prompt, they write their answer, And then you can ask questions about the information that came up. For example, this student said they're funny, they're crazy, they're noisy, they're smart, and they're lazy. Well, of course, we can pick out some typos or some errors. They spelled perezosa wrong, but we can also do a game. Who do they think typed that? In the class, they can guess from their peers, what student is it? And so it's taken work for them to create the sentence or to create the activity, and you can extend it. I'll show you another activity. So that was just a few words. I'll show you one we did with sentence writing. Let's see. We were describing our homes, and they were practicing describing things in their house. So they were practicing describing their kitchen, okay? And so here's an example. It's a great sentence. My kitchen is basic. It's sometimes not very light, and it's medium size. They did the work to make a sentence. They could be creative to reflect their house, to reflect their life. But then this shows up on the board at the front of the classroom, or if you're teaching virtually, on the teacher's computer screen. But you can show this and discuss, students, what's missing here? Or is there anything we could add? Or do you see any errors that we could fix to make it better? For example, it should technically say, mi cocina es básica. One of the things that makes this platform so versatile is there's a ton of different activities you can do. You can do writing, but you can also take a survey. You can also play a game. So I'm going to show you right now an activity. And if there's up to 40 people can participate. So most of you, I think, will be able to participate. Give me a second to load it. So these are pre-made activities. This is the one thing you have to do ahead of time. You have to make the activities. So what you need to do at the top of the screen, you can see you need to respond at polev.com/Rachel Gassner 504. So if you would go ahead, take a minute, either on a separate screen, you can also use your telephone. Take a second and go ahead and log in to this. I'll give just a minute for people to join this site, polev.com/Rachel Gassner. It cut my name off, 504. All right, so once you're in, currently the poll is activated, or I'll click activate. Now it's activated. So once you're in, you can select your choice. And I'll get, oh, yep, results are starting to pour in. I see in on the bottom right there. And in a minute, I'll show the responses. This can be used with a right answer situation, okay, where they have multiple choice. There is a right answer. It can be used with opinions. You're trying, maybe you're talking about activities that students like to do. And you can get some feedback. I'll give it just another minute for a few more results to come in, and then we'll talk about how you could use this. All right, I give about 10 more seconds, and then we'll look at the responses. And as the teacher, you, at the bottom of the screen, you either have instructions to show the kids what to do, or responses when I'm ready to show the responses. So I'll go ahead and click responses. It looks like the majority, well, out of our 11 responses, people are teaching virtual and face-to-face classes. So that'll help me make sure my activities will get to some virtual and some in-person classes. Okay, let me go on to the next activity, and I'll show you more things you can do with this. So that is a multiple choice. The next activity, you can stay on that website. You do not need to exit. Here we have a word cloud. So this is going to be open-ended. My question is, what language do you teach? You should be able, as the user, to type in the language and press enter. When the results start popping in, it'll create a word cloud based on what the most common results were. So I'll give you a minute to do that. It's the same if you're on text, it's over here, and if you're online, which I recommend, it's over here. I am currently teaching in person, but many of these resources I used last year when we were virtual. All right, and I'm going to show some responses here. So this is the word cloud it creates. As we can see, because English is bigger, more of you are teaching English. Maybe one or two of you are teaching both, and one or two of you are just teaching Spanish itself. This is a fun one that I've done with, we're talking about food, and I ask a question like, what's the grossest food you can think of? Students type in an answer, and if 10 people think it's liver, then it shows up real big. And it's very fun to figure out what are some of the patterns. So once again, you ask a simple question, they type it, and you have something to talk about after. I never just leave the question. I always take a minute or two in the target language to talk about what we see. For example, ¿Qué es muy popular? ¿Qué no es popular? ¿Por qué? You extend it, you extend it. I'm all about taking one resource and extending it. Okay. A note about this, if you put a space in there, you'll see, I bet somebody put teach French and they put a space, it won't register. So this is just a one-word activity. Let's do another one. Stay in that same site, and here's another example we can do. What age do you teach? So this is another simple question. I need to press activate and go ahead and A, B, C, or D. Let me go ahead and show this one again. Okay, so it looks, wow, that's interesting. The majority of you are teaching adults. I will be honest, I teach adolescents primarily. I have taught a community college class before for adults. I would say a lot of these platforms, especially this one, can be catered to adults because you can do a lot more sentence writing. Many of the activities I do are on the vocab level, but many can be altered for more complex tasks. Okay, let's do keep participating. Let me do one or a couple more in this website. It's so versatile. Here's one of my favorite features, a clickable image. So this happens to be a map, but I could do an image of anything. Okay, there we go. So quick question, where do you live? You should be able to simply drop a pin where you live. And I've got it on responses, so I see 3 people live in Mexico. Hola. Okay, somewhere in the Caribbean, another in Mexico, los Estados Unidos. Okay, México muy popular. Now, this is with a map. You can use any image. Let's say you're teaching about body parts. You put an image of a person and you describe. You can have several items. We were doing school supplies in one of my novice classes. I put a backpack pouring out of all the school supplies and I mention it. Or I say, esto se usa para escribir. This is used for writing, and they have to click on it. I've done the boring thing and put up a grammar chart before. Or, for example, subject pronouns, I, you, he, she, we, they. And I say, you would use this word to talk about yourself. You would use this word to talk about you and your friend. Okay, great. So clickable image could be anything. And I want to show you 2 more things. Now, this is where the creativity comes in. Think about your last vacation. Write any sentence. It's a very open-ended prompt, and this could be great for adult students as well. Write an open-ended sentence about your last vacation. Where'd you go? What happened? I encourage a few of you to make errors so we can point it out. So we're using English for this activity, and I'll give you just a minute to write your results. Nice. So as students start having these, they start pouring in, and they can see at the front of, I use this frequently in person, on their devices. My students have computers. They type their sentence, and at the front of the classroom, they see it showing up. And, oh, didn't go, right? So as they're pouring in, we can talk about it. We can have the discussion. Oh, who do you think went to Puerto Rico? Fuiste tú? ¿Tú fuiste? And we can discuss that. We can talk about some of the different activities they did. We can also anonymously point out some of the grammar errors. So this is a safe space to make errors. I'll pull up, this is a great one. This is a great one. I go to California. We know go is irregular in the past tense. And so we could say like, oh, Jackie, you went to California. That's a great, or no, I wouldn't point it out, sorry, anonymous. I would say, who thinks they can make this sentence a little better? And I always point out, I understand it. It's clear, but it sounds a little off. And so we would talk about how it's irregular and use I went. You can do it with spelling errors. You can do it with agreement errors. Here's the Spanish error. It should be a la. Okay, and these are really common errors that the students make. In an island, it would be on an island. So this is a great time to get their input. All you had to do ahead of time is think of a question. They took the time to write the sentence in the language. Then you make up extension activities on the spot. All right, I'm going to show you one more thing with this platform, and then we'll move on to another resource. Okay, you can do a survey, but I'm also going to show you how you can do a competition. So just like Kahoot or some of the many fun online games, you can make a competition. So it's all about me. I'm really into myself. I tell the students that all the time. Give me your attention. I'm so important. All right. So it's a competition. So the first question is the presenter's name. You should go ahead and enter your results. On the bottom left there is a timer. We'll see who was listening. ¿Quién me escuchó? Margot, I found Rachel's site and responded, but it doesn't show. When I tried again, it moved me to tell about your last vacation. It might just be a connectivity issue. That was an activity we did a minute ago. I'm not sure. All right, so the results are in. Oh, only 3 people responded. Oh, it says polls. Oh, after 15 seconds, the poll locks. Okay, so woohoo, everyone got it right. Okay, next question. And as it's a game, it shows you the leaderboard. I only have 3 or 4 questions. The presenter works at, complete the sentence, a public school, a private school. You only have 15 seconds, participants. Yes, poll locks after 15 seconds. Ooh, so I did work at a public school. I currently work at a private school. Great. You could do this about anything. Of course, whatever skills you're testing on. Students love to compete, kids or adults. Okay, the presenter is, you don't know. You haven't seen me stand up. What do you think? Very tall, medium height, very short. 3, 2, 1, the poll's gonna lock. All right, and I am quite tall, folks. I am about 6'1". There we go. And I think there's one more question. Oh, we see, okay, the lead's changing. Last question, the presenter lives in. How well do you know your states? There's too many of them. Los Estados Unidos tienen 50. Demasiado. 4, 3, 2, 1. And there we go. The answer is Missouri. I do live in Missouri. It's in the center. It's the worst. We're a day's drive from the beach. And so at the end of the game, woohoo, guess 1688, you are the champion. Okay. These are some of the features that you can create with this website. When you want to create an activity, you go here and it has all the options up here. What I'd like to do is take a minute and let me know what specific questions you have about this website, polleverywhere.com. Okay, I'll show you another tech tool that I do use in class or online, and then I'll show you one that's great for in person. So my next tech tool that I used a lot last year, it's called whiteboardphi. And with whiteboardphi, each student will once again log into a device, and it's a great resource for when they're listening and reading. The teacher will maybe describe something they see, or you could either do drawing or you can do writing. There's lots of possibilities with this. I liked last year to describe a scene and in the target language, and then they had to draw the scene. You could also, though, easily use it for language. Just like with Poll Everywhere, I could ask a question and they can type their answer. If you know any math teachers, this has math tools as well. It's very easy and it's a phenomenal brain break. I teach 70-minute classes, So when we've done a lot of heavy or higher level thinking and we need a quick brain break, this is a great 10-minute activity. Break it up, still use the target language, but something a little more lighthearted. And as with most things, it's free or premium. So you can set up a prompt ahead of time, or you can make one up on the spot. I'm going to show you how easy it is. You don't need to do anything yet. I go to the website. I click New Class. I'm going to make it right now. I'm going to make my name Senora Gassner. And I'm going to create, and then I clicked the button Create New Class, okay? So students, at this time, you need to go to this class here. I'll copy it to clipboard and then I can put it in the Q&A, I think. Oh, okay, so there's a special code there. Click on that last one I did. As students start logging in, and I think you have to put your name when you do it. As students start logging in, the whiteboards will appear on my screen. Give it just a minute for a few more. There they come. Francisco, Tanya, Cecilia, Muestra, hola. I've never seen that. Is MTRA for maestra? I never knew that. I learned something. Gracias. Aprendí algo. Okay, you can keep logging in. Now, what I would do at this time is I would either ask a question and the students would write their answer, or my favorite thing to do with this is to give them a prompt. So take 2 minutes and draw. On your personal whiteboard, draw this scene as best you can. There is an old man with a long beard. He is sitting on a bench in the middle of a park. He's very sad because he sees a dead bird on the ground. Take a minute, students, and draw this to your best ability. And the only work I had to do was write a few sentences, and I'm going to give you 2 minutes because of time. They will do this for 10 minutes. They love it. I'll give you about 1 more minute. I know it's not enough. All right, I'm going to go ahead and show you what it will look like from the teacher's perspective. Wonderful. So we have, some of you have been playing around. You can see there's different shapes. Oh, Tanya is artística. Ay, ay, ay. So as the teacher, I can see them all. Students cannot see this unless it's projected. You can use color. Ichel played with the music notes. Yes, there's different features. There's also typing. But I will do, as I can click on one as the teacher, and now I can show the class this great drawing. If you get a premium account, you can do lots of things like interact with them, do all kinds of stuff. I just use the free account, and it's good for up to, actually, I think it's unlimited. I think it's unlimited. Something I love to do with this, make it a competition. I would give them a set amount of time and then their drawing would have to be as accurate as possible. Oh no, Rodrigo, look at this guy. Oh, he's so sad. This is super fun. Kids get into it. It puts the work on them. They still have to understand the target language. They're still engaging with the language. You do 1 minute of work, they do 10. All right, it looks like Jose Antonio, he was playing around with some of the shapes. You can do shapes as well. Okay, let me go to one of my favorite activities for in-person. It does not work super well virtual, but for those of us who are in person, let me switch on down here. This is called an information gap activity. And that's because very simply, there's an exchange of information, as all communication is, and there's a gap in it. I need information that somebody else has. It's phenomenal activity because it targets reading, writing, speaking, and listening, so you get all the communication. Students have to ask and answer. They have to negotiate meaning. And you can change this activity for different levels. I have used it from novice to advanced students. I also love it because you get the 3 modes of communication: interpretive, interpersonal, and presentational. Before you can have this activity, it does take a little work on you ahead of time. Create the activity. It takes you 15 minutes to create the activity. It will take students up to 45 to do it. And it's something you can use every year. You want to decide what structures or vocabulary you'd like to target. You will create a table with questions and answers and duplicate that table and remove specific information. I'm going to show you an example. So this document is from, we were practicing in my class with special verbs, stem changing verbs, specifically venir and tener. And so I created a logical scenario. I always make a situation, a scenario. So in this case, it was in Whitfield School, there's a problem with students who come to class late. Mr. Young and Mrs. Ringy, our principals, want more information about this problem because they need a solution. Talk with a partner to find out more information. This is my situation, but you could do all kinds of things. One time I had students who were they were budgeting for a dress. I've had students talk about what they bought for a party. Okay, so you create the table ahead of time. The people, how old they are, how they get to school, and when they come to school. Once again, my priority was the verb tener and venir. So I created the information, just made it up. Then I copied that table. For person B, I took out half the information. For person A, I took out the other half. So in person, you have partners sitting next to each other. You give one student sheet A, one student sheet B. They have to work together to find out the answer. Because this was an activity for novice mid students, I gave them the questions. ¿Cómo se llama? And then we practiced in class. Se llama, tiene 20 años, viene a la escuela por whatever. So we practice ahead of time. Then they're off. They have the conversation. They fill in the blanks. I do encourage students to have their paper kind of hidden away from the other student. I tell them the purpose of the activity is not just to copy. I know they can do that. The purpose is to practice speaking and listening. So they fill in the information until it's all full. Now you've done the first part of the task. What you want to do is now make them use that information to answer some questions. So here were some follow-up questions I did with that information. They had to write in complete sentences. They've got all the information. Who comes earliest? Who's latest to school? How many students show up early? Then going even deeper, okay? What is Melissa's brother's name? And they'll go, Senora Gassner, how do I know that? And I said, well, take a look at the information. They look back at the information. Turns out Melissa and this other boy leave exactly at the same time and get to school exactly at the same time. There's a good chance they're going together. They're carpooling. So this is where the basic information of just word level gets stepped up, and they have to use that knowledge in context. I love this. You can do it for so many different things. You just have to decide, what do you want the students to practice? Is it vocabulary? Is it a specific verb? Is it telling time? So this one kind of targeted lots of different things. This is a great one for in-person, not so much for virtual. Okay, I'll show another one that goes for a little more upper level students that's not just word level. This activity is called Fan and Pick, and it's good for sentence writing. Students work together to create logical and correct sentences, and it really targets that grammar. Sometimes we know we're just targeting communication. Can I understand you? This is one where you're really going for accurate language. So it depends on your structure. What you need is you need this board for all the students, okay? And you can find it online, Fan and Pick. And you put it in the middle of their table. This is also one for in-person learning. Each spot has a different job. I'll show you it in a second. You need some sentences that can be translated into the target language. For this one, you go language 1, L1, to the target language. And you need a piece of paper for them to write their answers. The board itself has 4 spots. They work in groups of 4, and they have different jobs. So they have different jobs. Each table gets the cards with sentences on them. Person 1 fans out the cards. They say pick one. Person 2 picks a card and reads it aloud. So this was an activity we were practicing describing people. This one says, my dad is handsome. Person 3 verbally answers it and writes it down. Mi papá es guapo, or mi padre es guapo. And person 4, their job is to check. Is that right? Is it spelled right? Do they have the right words? Does it agree? Did they say, mi mamá es guapo? Oh, guapa. They help each other out. So that is 1 card out of the 12. The next thing they would do in the middle of their table, they would change jobs. So if this is in the middle of the table, they turn this around. Number 2, their job is different. Number 3, their job is different. Number 4, and this just sits on the table. You can do this in smaller groups if need be. They just still are working together. Here's an example of how it starts out. It starts out with slips of paper. 1 class we were practicing time, real easy. Then you can go more in-depth sentences. You cut them apart. You pass them out to each other. This is the sentences where they write it. And what I like to do is after they write it, they say, terminamos, we finished. And I go over and I give them some guidance. I say, oh, check number 2, or you might want to look at number 5. They get a chance to fix it, and then they turn it in. I'm going to stop sharing. And if you guys have any questions, I'd love to help out. The last thing I saw was, oh no, I see something. Amazing activities. Yay! Excelente.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think just before we leave, there are a few housekeeping activities that people have been asking. One is, where do you get a certificate? The answer is yes. And the other thing is, I wanted just resharing this link for Teachers Club. As we mentioned before, this webinar is part of ELL's Teachers Club activity. If you want to learn more, have more of these sessions in the future, please join our Teachers Club. The link is here. I'm going to repost it in the Q&A session. You can also easily find it on our website. So without further ado, let's give Rachel a virtual round of applause.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah.
I wish I could see your faces, but your teachers work so hard. You're awesome. Even on those days we feel like we're not doing it, you're doing it. You are. You guys are great. Fenomenales.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you, everybody. I will see you next time.
Nos vemos.
Thank you, Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
Bye. So I'm gonna give you guys a little introduction about who ELL is, and then we'll get started with the teaching strategies. So as some of you might know, Everybody Loves Languages is a all-in-one language learning ecosystem. We're headquartered in Toronto, Canada. We have clients in Latin America, North America, Asia, and Europe. We have been in business for more than 25 years in the language teaching business. So basically, there are 2 components of the ecosystem. One is the technology, which is basically a software that combines all the, the things all the tools you would need in a classroom setting, whether it's communication or presentation or assessment tasks, or speech practice through voice recognition. It's a very intelligent learning system. And on top of that, most importantly, we have a lot of courses already ready for use, whether you're teaching English or you're teaching other world languages like Mandarin, French, or Spanish, or Portuguese. We have very strong courses already ready for you to use. here are a list of distributors and institutions, whether it's university or language schools or just K-12 schools that uses our system. And most importantly, we want to engage our teachers. Although we sell to institutions, but the teachers who uses this software is the most important user of our system. So we have this ELL Teachers Club, as a platform to connect teachers like you guys to learn and to grow and just to have a network of similar professions to communicate with. So if you want to learn more, you can go to this website link here. It's in ELL website. You can join our network and be engaged with the community. There are a few benefits of joining ELL Teachers Club. Today's webinar would be one. We invest very experienced industry experts to give us trainings and resources. There's also a community on Facebook. You can chat with fellow teachers. There's also some resources to help your students to succeed. For example, we partner with Student Apply Network to help your students to apply for study abroad universities and etc. And as a teachers, you can earn a reward. If you want to share our content or you can't finish today's webinar, you're welcome to subscribe to our podcast. It's these webinars plus additional episodes. So you can go to our website. Here is the link and subscribe on any podcast platform such as Spotify to listen to this.